What's up, everybody? Chris Scott here. I'm with Nick Fugallo and our special guest of the day, Coach Lou Vesce of Port Richmond High School, the varsity football coach. What's going on?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I've actually been thinking about this all day, all weekend, because we just randomly bumped into each other at Danino's. Great pizza spot, by the way, on the island. And I was so hyped to see you. It's been so long, but you haven't changed a bit.
Cool.
Same exact guy.
Trying to keep it real, brother.
Yeah, I mean, same exact guy. So I recently read a SI Live article, and it was about looking back on the championship from the 2008-2009 season. I was a sophomore that year. I was at the field. It was magical seeing Port Richmond winning that championship with homegrown talent. And a quote that stood out to me that you said was, "I get chills just talking about it. It feels like so long ago, but the league is a lot different now." Why is the league different now compared to then?
I think the league is different now. There was a lot more parity in the league at the time. Mm-hmm. You can tell just from the teams that we played in the playoffs. We played Thomas Jefferson. We played Boys High. We played Beach Channel, teams that were either B division teams or threes, whichever at the time was the case, and have built up. So there felt like there was more opportunity for teams to go make some noise in the playoffs, or actually make the playoffs. And now the league has become, for lack of a better term, grossly top heavy.
Okay. Has the style of play changed at all? Because I know, like in the NFL, you're seeing some changes. A lot of college type being integrated. Has anything changed at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think passing games are always improving. Also, the RPOs are becoming a thing. I mean, on every level. Mm-hmm. NFL, college is obviously the biggest. Mm-hmm. I feel like in college, the RPOs, there's more run option. But in the NFL, you see like what the Eagles did. There was no run element. Their RPOs were a pass option off of run plays, which is something that a lot of high school teams have implemented. Mm-hmm. We actually had a hard time with it last year.
Well, what is your style of offense and on defense?
Well, offensively, we used to run a spread wing tee. We used to joke around and call it the sling tee. But then we started getting back. We kind of changing with the times, and we went into the spread. Mm-hmm. This year, I think we might get away from some of the things we've done in the spread just because we're not in a position, like we're not moving people enough on the offensive line. And to run the zone, you really need to move people around. So we're kind of tossing it around. I might be going back to trapping and pulling, maybe go a little more of a power game. That's stuff that we're working on right now in the spring.
Right. All right, so like I said, I'm also with Nick Fugallo. And Nick, do you have any questions for Coach Vesce?
Yeah, I mean, I played on both sides. I Ironmanned it, but I love defense way more than offense. I want to hear about your defense. I know you wanted to talk about your spread offense, but fine. I'm a defensive guy.
Okay. 3 years ago, I brought on Coach Sullivan. I was telling you earlier about. We implemented a 4-2-5, that's also like a defense that more teams are running. It's still the base 4-2, which we ran when we ran 4-4 cover 3, or if we were running 4-3 cover 4. This is now, it's still too high. It's cover 2, and it has a strong safety involved where he's going to the strength. But it's still a 4-man front, 2 inside backers. So most of the stunts are coming from those 6 guys. With a little bit, stunts coming off with the strong safety. But it's a cover 2 high look. We're always tweaking it because we haven't been as physical as we need to be at the corner spot. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, you have an inside the box safety. You have somebody that is an enforcer. Right. Because just thinking about it, I know we ran a 5-2. I was telling you about that. We allowed nothing on the inside. It was almost like we stacked the box. Mm-hmm. That being said, we'd get in the huddle, say cover 2 break, and then they would just throw all over us.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Even through all my years of coaching, especially as a head coach, we are always changing the defense up. We'll come out in a base. Like we used to be a base 4-4 cover 3 team, and maybe never ran it because, whether we played that week, we would be changing up the coverages or just changing up the front, but we're still a 4-man front team. If we're going to run a 5-man front, that 5th guy is going to be a linebacker. It's not going to be 5.
He's going to be a jack. He's going to be that guy. And
we do have a 5-man front in the defense, but we're a 4-man front team. Mm-hmm.
And real quick before I pass it back over,
Sure.
Who are you most concerned about this year?
Most concerned about, I would say on my schedule, Tottenville, throughout the city, Curtis and Erasmus and Lincoln, still look like the teams to beat.
Oh man, I'm thinking about it because the only person I remember from Curtis was Dominic Easley, and they put me up against him in the Big Apple games, and he absolutely destroyed me. For starters, I'm a center. I don't go up against people like that, but that guy absolutely abused me, man.
And you had the luck of drawing an NFL football player.
Oh man. So I was waiting for you to say Curtis, and I totally forgot about Tottenville. And I'm looking over at like your pictures over here of all your teams and everything, and about like you're a quarter the size of Tottenville. And it's outrageous, and I can't believe that. And back when I was in school, I know we talked about I went to a specialized high school and stuff like that, but what's with the zoning here?
There is none. There's no zoning in the 5 boroughs. My first 3 years when there was zoning, I was 31-6. In the 9 years since, there's no zoning. I'm 38-51 since then.
And
so
do you think
I'm right
that most of your
hovering a
players
little bit
came because they were just from the area?
From the area, man. Their
man.
brother played for us, or their cousin played for us, or they're just kids from Port Richmond or from the harbor.
Now they're just hightailing it to Tottenville?
They're hightailing it to Curtis, Wagner, and Tottenville. We've lost 1,000 students off the register, and it's been very hard to can't mask that.
Have you talked to any like congressmen or anything like that? Like, is there a possibility that we can go back to that?
I have voiced my opinion many of times. This is my biggest issue. You can't not have. I understand the no zoning was to be like the no child left behind, give kids opportunities to go to a special school. That's great, but then you have to cap the numbers. And if I remember correctly, it was like sometime the beginning of 2000. No, it was actually the beginning of December in 2011. I watched something on New York One to say that they were going to cap the numbers at Wagner, Tottenville, and Curtis, and it has not happened yet. We're like the 5th, like 2 years ago in the Post, we were like the 5th least utilized high school in the 5 boroughs. Like our capacity is like 70-something%. They're all sitting on 120, 130%.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is the second time I walked into this building. One time other when we played you guys in basketball, and that was really it. Mm-hmm. That being said, for the people that are listening that aren't from the Staten Island area, if you really want to make it here, you are told to go to either Curtis or Tottenville. Wagner's that secondary option if like you really can't make either school. So this is what we're dealing with here on the island.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun run going on. There's a lot of, listen, if you want to go out there and hit up the little leagues and do your best to coerce kids to come to your team, then God bless you. That's not my bag. I'll talk to the kids. I try to keep the conversation brief. Since most of the kids I talk to that are 8th graders, 4 of the coaches have already spoke to them and, sell them a bridge or, kids, we have last year, one of the top players in Staten Island went to Erasmus. He lives 4 blocks away from the school. Mm-hmm. So you want to have no zoning, but yet you want to let kids go to, play football anywhere you want. There's no more neighborhood rivalries anymore. Most of the kids from Curtis live right over here, and I have kids that live over there. I think they need to go back to zoning high schools. And if you want to make 100 extra kids that you can, so you can take these 100 kids from outside your zone, that sounds fair. But no zoning puts a damper on a lot of the schools that have a lot of tradition, and maybe the neighborhood is a little falling behind, like Port Richmond and like the high school I went to. I went to Lafayette. And their high school football program is nothing compared to what it was when I was there, and very simple, very similar. New Utrecht is busting at the seams because kids that live next to Lafayette don't want to go there because it's a tough school. So now you're going to New Utrecht, and same thing over here. We have kids.
With all the respect, I've covered about 4 or 5 shootings in New Utrecht within the past 8 months. So, I mean, like, that being said, I'm not saying that the school is a bad school, it's a good school, but take your chances on Lafayette. I know they were a very, very good basketball school. I never played them in football. Our division was much, much lower, and we were a really, really bad MSIT team. But it's pretty much legitimate. Unless you have the means to go to a specialized high school like I did, I would be zoned for Tottenville myself. I had no chance of getting into Wagner, I was zoned for Wagner. I had no chance of getting into Tottenville unless it was the Institute, which I did make. But there was no way I was going to get to Tottenville. I graduated in 2010. And I think that's how it should be.
Right. Now, getting back to the sports part, the thing that's bugging me out is that, we can go to Tottenville on a Saturday night to have a JV game with 25 kids, and they'll dress 110. and 35 of them are going to touch the field. If you're okay to sit there or stand there, I should say, for the whole game, the 65 kids that don't touch the field, I want, like, when are kids going to start taking a shot on me? Just like Curtis. Curtis, Coach Gambardella is a great football coach, and they only dressed, I believe, 39 or 40 for the city championship. But they were like 39 or 40 of the best players you can find. And that's kudos to him that he put a great roster together. But what about the kids that don't play? Their JV showed up here with 65 kids against 23 of ours. When are we going to step in and say, this is ridiculous? It's ridiculous.
Now, I want to go and talk about the transfer policy for PSAL. Because, when we were speaking in Daniels, you brought up the point that, hey, maybe one of these schools, Erasmus Hall, is doing something wrong. They're getting kids to transfer over and play for their school immediately. The rule is that if a kid is going to transfer, it can't be specifically just to play sports. And if they are transferred, they can't play for a year. Right? That's the rule.
Yeah, the rule has never changed. Mm-hmm. The enforcement of the rule has been non-existent. No one's enforcing.
Okay.
They have learned how to get through the transfer offices with safety transfers are rough because now you have to bring police reports and that becomes a little sketchy. But travel hardships, I just have a hard time believing that a solid 10, 15 kids moved to Flatbush Avenue last year.
Right.
That's just a little too much coincidental for me. Is it too easy to get an address? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
How would you say the validity? Is that the word?
Fidelity.
Yeah. How valid is the PSAL roster website? Like for the website for the rosters?
I guess it's pretty valid.
It's pretty accurate?
It's pretty accurate. I'm sure. Early in the year, you might have teams with 32 kids on the roster and 45 on the sideline, but that's not my bag.
It doesn't seem often to me where a player tries out as a senior and makes the varsity team, especially for a school like Erasmus Hall. Right. I was looking at the Erasmus Hall roster, and just to put some numbers in perspective here. I don't know if these are 100% accurate because I haven't looked at the official records. I'm just going based off of PSAL's records here. But the 2017-2018 roster, right? That's from this previous year. It featured 60 total players. 16 of them, that would be above a quarter, were not on the roster the previous year. They were not on the inactive roster. They were not on the varsity roster. They were not on the JV roster. 30 of them were seniors. 8 of those were not on the roster. 19 juniors, 4 juniors were not on the roster the previous year. 10 total sophomores, 4 of them were not on the roster the previous year. So Erasmus Hall, how are they getting away with all these new players coming on? We don't,
They're working it out, getting the transfers into the building. I did ask the people from the PSAL were 20 different waivers put in for these kids. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I think that they definitely have some juice down by the transfer offices, and people are keeping it close to the vest, I guess.
Now, from your own personal experience, have you seen one of your kids leave Port Richmond and then you play a different team within a year and one of your kids is suited up for the other team?
No, it's out of control. It's not just Erasmus. there are other teams
I'm
also
not
that
talking
play.
about Erasmus. I'm saying from your personal experience. Have you seen
my
one of your
personal
kids leave Port
experience, I've
Richmond?
had one. Now this year will become my second player after 12 years as head coach. Going into my 13th to leave the program. One transferred to Moore after my 10th year. That was his decision. And then one was attempting to transfer to Erasmus this year, but they kind of put him on the back burner. I don't know. I think they really wanted his brother either to play for them or to not wear a maroon uniform at Curtis next year. So my biggest issue is that you got kids transferring from all the schools, and you tell kids that you could only go to Ohio State from Erasmus. Look at us. I blame the PSL for putting that article about Erasmus sending kids to 7 different schools. Why would you glorify that? You're glorifying a program that out of those 7 kids that went Division I, 4 of them were not your guys. I have a hard time with that.
I think they're glorifying themselves instead of Erasmus. They're saying that they're PSL
then the PSL shouldn't have put it on the website. It's their website.
But I just want to get the logistics of this because I never really understood this. It's May 21st, right? Let's say I was playing for you just today. Tomorrow I turn around and tell you, May 22nd, I'm leaving the team. I'm going to go play for Curtis. So I cannot play for Curtis until May 22nd, 2019?
No, you can play right away if you can work out the transfer. Okay, I don't want to get too much into specifics, okay? But a player from Huguenot Avenue just transferred to Curtis. I'd like to see if he's on the field this year. I want to know, how do you justify a transfer from Huguenot Avenue to Curtis? What are you going to say, travel hardship? The high school you were going to was 30 seconds away. So what is it? I'd like to know. What are you going to say? You got a safety transfer? You got scared from Huguenot Avenue and you went down to Curtis?
It's a legitimate special transfer. That's the only way you can work it out. But how many of those could possibly be the case? Exactly what you said, Howard. 10 to 15
kids don't want to wait. If you're a quarterback and you maybe have to wait a year, now the way society is set up, why would you have to wait? I'm not waiting.
I mean, that being said,
the world is mine. I could be anything I want to be. I don't have to wait. You're not going to tell me I have to sit out on a transfer.
No, absolutely. But that being said, then why would you even want to leave? And I never understood that. It's all about loyalty in my perspective.
Yeah, there's none.
I had 3 head coaches, but I was loyal to every single one of them. I'm not going to stop working out with St. Peter's head coach because somebody else says I have a better program. The fact of the matter is my team stunk. And they stunk every single year, except for my freshman year. We actually went to the championship, but in the lowest division. We stunk every single year, and I didn't say a damn word to anybody. We were 0-10 at one point, and that was it. It was what it was. When you get blown out by Stuyvesant, it's a bad time.
It's a bad feeling.
But I get it. Look, I went to Staten Island Tech, so it's a little bit different. As a specialized high school, it was more for my grades than it was for football. But even if it was football, my tape will say it all. It has nothing to do with, you play for Erasmus. Ohio State people might be like, oh, well, Erasmus is a good school. We've had a couple of people, but at the end of the day, you need to understand that if you're not on that field, exactly what you said, if you're not on that field, then you're not playing and you got nothing to show. Yeah,
we've been looking for a running back for about maybe 8 seasons now, and they about 9 or 10 over there, and it's disgusting how kids are front runners. I blame the parents. The parents are front runners. I don't know where I'm signing him. Your kid's not a piece of meat, and this is not the NCAA. We've gotten away from neighborhood rivalries. We've gotten away from, I'm going to go to the school because I live in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I won with Mariners Harbor kids. I won with Port Richmond kids. And I'd like to do it again. I believe I still can do it again. Yes. See, we won the city championship with 32 kids, with 6 guys going both ways. 5 up until the Tottenville game, until we had an injury, and then the quarterback played both sides of the ball. So we played the city championship with 6 guys going both ways, and I still believe, even in 2018, that if I had the right 32 guys, they could come out with 100. Because in the semifinals, when we had 32 and Boys High came out with 50 kids, we like to talk trash a little bit too, and Torian went over. So you guys need 100 guys to beat us today.
So you don't believe in this whole recruiting thing? Recruiting should not be.
It's not my bag. I don't know.
Should it even be in the case in the NCAA?
Oh, what do you mean? I don't understand. What do you mean recruiting? As far as what is recruiting to you? I mean, you could go and
come play for my school. I'll give you the world.
Well, for 8th graders. For 8th graders, you could go out. You can sell your school if that's the route you have to go. You got to go and get kids from other boroughs.
Do you believe that's dirty?
It's not something I do, but I wouldn't fault them for this. That's not against the rules to go out there. If there's no zoning, so that means it makes it open season to go out and hit up every junior high school. If you can do that, then maybe you don't have a social life. But I have a life, and I have a child, and I have a job. I like to hang out sometimes. I'm not going every Sunday. I'm not hitting up junior high schools every day. I'm not doing that. I'll hit up my local junior high schools, which I have grievances with right now because you're obviously not sending us good students. You're not. Our feeder schools are sending us a quarter to a third of their 8th graders. I want to know where the 72 kids are, where the 51 kids are, where the 27 kids are. Where are they? Because they're not here. And if they are, you're giving us the kids that didn't fill out high school applications. You're giving us the bottom of the barrel.
Now here's the thing, and I've noticed this in other schools, and look, Tech just got redone as well. Tonville is a pretty nice looking field. Your field is just, it looks really, really bad. It looks really, really out of shape. I'm not blaming you. It's obviously not your fault. But could that be a reason as to why these kids aren't even going here?
I'm sure it is a factor. It's embarrassing that I've been telling people for the last 3 years that we're getting a new field. I have seen plans that were finalized, 2 years ago, but yet we're still, going through the process. And that's all part of... I don't know. I'm trying to. I have to have my own job. I have to worry about also. What do you want me to say? I think it's poor leadership. It's poor management. I don't know what to say. I know that the schools that I have friends at that have gotten a new field, that's because someone at the school is doing their due diligence and making phone calls and getting it to happen. So if you want it to happen, someone higher than myself has to make that call. When I do, I'm speaking in vague terms right now because I have a job. When I do go step outside the box and basically try to go over people's heads, and like I had an opportunity to get the field done about a month or two ago. The school didn't like what I had to say. You want to know the truth? That field is horrible, man. That track is disgraceful, man. Yeah. We have kids that run on that track every day. Someone in that building has to come out here and say, "Yo, this is unacceptable. This is our school." I love this place. You're doing an interview right now in the field house. This is my second home. There's no other place on the planet I spend more than this office, and it's a sanctuary in here. I mean, this is my players come back, from when I'm here for the last 17 seasons. They know they have a safe place here. And I feel like I don't want to say it's slipping away from me because I have 11 more seasons and I'm not going to stop until I get the program back where it needs to be. And that doesn't mean another championship because it's not about championships for me. Because every year, graduation, my championship is my guys graduating and becoming valuable members of society. But I still need to get the program back to where it needs to be respectful and tough and, the way we built it.
I didn't play football for long here. I played not even a full 2 years. I didn't make varsity. I was on JV, but I could say that the football program here still had a huge impact on my life. So to hear those words from you, I think that's great. I think you're a great head coach.
Thank you.
That's the main thing. Getting these kids to graduate, stay in school.
That's all that matters to me, buddy.
And you always had the ability to translate stuff going on the football field or have like different analogies of football field in real life. I haven't seen him in a long time, but Coach Bear, I'll never forget the words. It always goes through my head every single day. You want to get paid, you got to go to work.
Yeah.
Right? He instilled that into my brain as a freshman, and I never forgot it. And to touch on the point about recruiting real quick, I sat down, did an interview years ago with the CSI basketball coach, Tony Petoza. And he talked to me, he opened up to me about how he would only get paid for a certain amount of hours, but he would spend his hours not working, recruiting people. Sometimes he would drive hours upstate to recruit this one player, and he would end up sleeping in his car overnight. So it's intense.
That's the life of a coach.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I never wanted to go to college. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go to college because I don't want to go on recruiting trips.
Yeah.
I want to coach in high school and work on my local stuff. Mm-hmm. The things that we're talking about are not just the PSAL. This is nationwide.
Yeah.
Especially in the major cities. The football, the baseball, the basketball. Basketball's filthy, man. You see what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of big schools are getting busted.
Filthy. Mm-hmm. And guys are going out there in AAU and the same thing. See, the AAU on the football end, there's no AAU, but now you have combines and you go to a combine and now you have people approaching you from other schools. Coaches do like devious stuff. If that's the case, any kid that wants to leave our program to go to another school, then he got sold something that's beyond me. My issue is, and Nick just said it before, is loyalty. Like, one of the young men that wants to leave now, I'm like, I treated you like a son, and I'm hurt. So, he'll be like, oh, coach don't want to talk to me. And, like, the women in school have to explain to him, like, just because the man I'm a big guy and I yell a lot, like, I have feelings too, like, and I'm very close to my players. So when one of my players crosses me or when somebody wants to leave the program, I'm not going to lie to you because I take it personal. I tell kids all the time, when you come to Port Richmond, it's not all about football. We're not going to win every game. We're not going to win a championship every year. So it has to be more than football. You have to buy into the family thing. You got to buy into that. You got to be all in. You know what it is. It's like you're either into it, and if you're not, you can't fake it. You can't fake it.
Exactly.
So, you could go and play baseball and not play one inning ever and sit on the bench and pick your nose and make it like you're a baseball player. In football, you can't fake it, man. You got to go through the drills. Someone's going to smash into you. If you're not playing, you're not playing. But if you're playing, you got to be with it. So,
big topic that I wanted to get into you, concussions. Mm-hmm. So I got some statistics here.
Okay.
All right. This is according to the statistics collected by the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. Concussions that occur in student athletes are common and should always be assessed by a medical professional. Between 1.7 and 3 million sports and recreation-related concussions happen each year. Around 300,000 are football-related. 5 of 10 concussions go unreported or undetected. So here's a scenario for you. You're talking to the nervous mother of a freshman, and she's asking you, why should my son play football, given these stats? What's the answer?
Okay, so before I give my answer, it's over 1 million, 300,000 in football. What about the other 800,000?
Right.
There are more concussions in headers in soccer. There is more concussions in lacrosse because they don't have the proper equipment on for contact. So let's just get that one right out there. It's only
for
football.
soccer. There's nothing.
It's only football that gets the bad press. It's the only sport.
I think that has to do with the NFL being so large and the players going after the league.
No problem.
Yeah.
I think that players know the risk. Well, let's get back to the high school. Let me give you my answer to the parent, okay? Playing football will prepare you for real life, okay? And your son can get a concussion going to play football in the park with his friends, and kids smash their heads together. We have really good equipment. The helmets today are as good as you can get. We teach heads-up football. We don't, we discourage kids from hitting with their heads. Like we teach them not to hit with their heads. All my coaches are heads-up certified, which is a really good program. I like it a lot. I'm totally into it. And this is part of life. And the military academies in the country still have football because they believe that it makes men. There were many presidents that we've had that played football. Makes a man out of you. It gave me the life that I have now. And I think I had one concussion my senior year in college. If I had one earlier, I wasn't aware of it, and I would not change a thing in my life. I know those guys working on the bridge get concussions all the time from using jackhammers, and so this is life, man.
You could be walking down on the sidewalk, you just trip and fall, and boom, concussion.
They make a big thing about the NFL. If you had to sign a waiver in the NFL, those guys would sign that waiver. It's only the couple of guys that had bad at the end of their life, bad experiences, health-wise at the end of their life. Okay, they can be compensated, but they're not going to sit there and say, I should have never played. It was okay when you were getting paid millions of dollars, because I don't get paid millions of dollars. But if you gave me a year in the NFL, I would play in a second. I would sign that paper right now in a second. So would Nick. Nick is shaking his head yes.
Now we've had this conversation way before. You're making millions of dollars. I'd go in head first.
Yeah,
so
it's okay.
we don't have to talk about this.
It's okay
any further.
And I we take care of kids. I don't want to get anybody hurt, man. You know what I'm saying? I love my players. We always err on the side of caution. Now we've all had concussion training. We have trainers now. PSL did a great job. We have a trainer at every practice, every game. So if a kid gets hitting his head outside, we bring him inside. Concussion protocol starts right away. We're on top of it. I don't see the numbers being any more or less. I just know that now we're more aware. So we'll err on the side of caution. For kids not to play football because of fear of concussion. They should be in fear of not getting high or doing something stupid. It's if you live over here, you can say, okay, I'm going to play football to get myself out of here so I can do better for myself. What about the kids that live in my neighborhood that are killed over on the corner, ODing from heroin? Because those are most of the parents that are complaining about it. But yet we have the highest heroin overdose in the country right here, right in Great Hills, up the block from where we live.
So here's another controversial topic, and it's more or less about the coaches and not about the kids.
Okay.
I know we discussed who my coach was, and we'll leave him out of this.
Of course.
But there was some times where I got stingers, especially in my arms. And football, you use a lot more of your arms than your legs, in my perspective, especially when you're in the trenches. And when you get down and your coach comes over and says, "Are you okay?" You sit there and you say yes. and you're scared. And so if I'm growing up and I want to be this really, really concerned parent, I'm going to let my kid play football 10 out of 10 times. Even if it's a girl. I hope I have a girl that wants to play football, but I'm just saying 10 out of 10 times I'm going to have my kid play football. I know some parents were concerned about like coaches being mean, coaches being like abusive to their kids. I remember back in the day there was a famous coach that I can't really think of it, but he used to lock his kids in the shed, and they used to get dehydrated. It's Shiano, by the way. Yeah, so how do you treat your players? This is what I want to know. I mean, I saw you give a couple of high fives, but that could be...
I'm very close with my players. We shake hands multiple times a day. You know, lots of hugs and you know, more personal talk than I ever had with my coaches. I think that's just the climate that we live in. It is also my personality. I do scream and yell a lot. I reassure my players after I go on a tirade how much I really care about them. I actually gave them a broken Vince Lombardi quote today because today was the first time that we've ever wore helmets in spring practice. It was a rule that was instituted last year, and I just got the helmets last week, and it's been raining, so today was the first time, and you could see they were a little sluggish. And the helmet is a great thing because it protects them from the sun. It gets their neck stronger, getting them ready. So I called them over because I know I was laying into them pretty good today. So I gave them I probably misquoted Vince Lombardi about, you know, achieving perfection probably never going to happen. But if you thrive for it every day, then you'll be pretty damn good. So I know I botched it up, but I think you guys know what I was talking about.
We got the gist.
So we have a relationship with our players here. My biggest concern, like for this upcoming season, is that we have a lot of young guys, and today they got a little nervous when I was chirping. And you know what I'm talking about? When I'm out there and I'm barking, I'm doing my thing. So I make sure I reel them back in. I also know that if you can deal with me, and this one I'm going to steal from Coach Paterzo because I'm always someone that I looked up to, and he was beating on this kid one time. You know, just screaming at him, just keep screaming at him. I'm like, yo, Coach, why don't you give the kid a break? He's like, he lost his father when he was a kid, so if I'm the worst person in his life, then he's going to be just fine. So it's something I try to work with, and I say, you know what? If I'm the hardest person in this kid's life, then I'm a teddy bear, man. I just balk a lot. But if I'm the hardest person in his life and you learn how to deal with that, you know what? His first job when his boss has his horns twisted and goes off on him, he doesn't storm away and call his mommy and, you know, quit his job. This is part of life. You know, it's like when we were in football camp, we used to watch Full Metal Jacket because we want, you know, when coach is screaming at you, you know, just eat it. And it makes you stronger. And I would never hurt in my players, man. I love my players. And I know sometimes when I'm a little hard. And you have to also be different with every kid. I remember back in the day, we treat everybody the same. That's not true. You don't treat everybody the same. I have players on my team that are great players that if I scream at them, I have to worry about them going into a shell. I also have other players on the team that I can scream at them and I know it makes them better. So you have to kind of pick and choose your battles. And you also have to know how to reassure someone that, listen, I'm just trying to get the most out of you. So we do that a lot. I think that's the reason why my players allow me to be me. Once I feel like the players are not feeling me because they don't understand it, like today, I had a little talk with them before we got water. Like, guys, it's okay. I'm just chirping. I'm just trying to get you guys ready. You know, we're out here and I'm excited. You know, I woke up this morning, I'm saying, hey, we're wearing helmets today. I'm excited. You know, that's why I still do it. Going into my 23rd year, I still wake up in the morning and I still love it. You know, I love it.
When do you go full pads?
Not until, the first official day of practice is August 19th, so on the 4th day.
Are you ever worried about kids hitting for the first time and then figuring out whether they're fight or flight?
Well, you know what? I kind of like the way we have the lead in. It's not like, hey, here's pads, go and smash into people.
It doesn't matter.
It's a good lead in. And yeah, there's times that guys are really good in two-hand touch, and then you know they're a little different with the contact.
All it takes is for a freshman to get mowed down by a senior. That's all
I just picked up two basketball kids that are probably the best, two best athletes on the team, and that's always a concern of mine. Like, listen, you know, this is going to change. Right now, we're playing two-hand touch, so it's it's a concern, but I like that challenge. I like that challenge. I don't mind. Everyone's a little scared, man. Everyone's a little scared.
It used to upset me so much. It used to upset me so much when you got hit and you just didn't want to get back up, and it sucks. And it wasn't because you were injured; it was because you were afraid.
It's okay. I'm afraid all the time, man. It's all right. And that's how being afraid before a game, having butterflies, those are all natural emotions. It's okay. The first day of hitting. If your leg's not shaking, then there's something wrong with you. Then you must really be crazy, because it's okay to be nervous. I played football from 5 years old through 4 years of college. I was always nervous, man. It's okay. That's how you perform. And you know what? You gotta get that first hit out. You get that first hit out, and you're like, okay, I got it. I remember, like, I played with my best friend since I'm 5 years old, and I remember senior year, first game of the year, we played Bayside. They had a new coach, and we're coming off a down year, so everyone's expecting us to come back and play, have a great season. And in the newspaper, like I was telling you about Bill Travis before from the Daily News, he's pumping up this nose guard from Bayside. So first, I'm playing center, and my buddy comes and helps me on the first play. Yeah. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, man? He's like, nah, I just wanted to make sure you're all right. I'm like, all right, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Did you right guard him, sorry?
No, he was actually the tackle. He actually came and helped me out. He
came over and he comboed?
Yeah, he's a good friend. He's a good friend.
So I have a question in regards to, I want to talk about you breaking into becoming a coach.
Okay.
Right? So when you first got your first coaching gig, was that at Port?
No, it was at Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. I was the head JV coach in '96. Mm-hmm. That was my first year coaching. I played at Iona College from '92 to '95. Had my degree in finance, and about a month before graduation, I ran into Coach O'Connor, the head coach at Lincoln. Uh-huh. He was actually an assistant on the JV in '88. He had just graduated and stood on with the program, joined the staff. And we had mutual, like family, friends and stuff. So I went to an engagement party, and I was telling him, I'm graduating, and he's like, oh, so what are you doing? And I was, looking to have my degree in finance, so I was going to try to get a job in finance. And he asked me to come and coach, and obviously it's something I've always thought about. And after the first day, I went home and broke my parents' heart and told them that I will not be taking a position in finance, and I'm going to live my life's passion.
I'm following my passion, Mom, Dad.
I know. We have something in the B wing. They just took the pictures down. They said, bring in a picture from high school. So I brought in a picture of me as a football player at Lafayette, and they asked for a quote. And I said, if you live your life's passion, you never work a day in your life. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm working 23 years as a football coach, and I love it, and I'm not going to stop. It'll probably have to be forced upon me, But I won't coach past 55. I'm going to retire at 55, God willing, and then I'd like to move to Florida, and I'm just going to go help out something that resembles Port Richmond High School. I'm going to go to that school. I'm not going to go down to St. Thomas Aquinas and go help them out. They don't need my help. I'm not going to go to IMG and the rest of these disgusting programs that have kids flying from all around the country. See, I'm not impressed with that. I'm impressed with, a school that everyone's like this, that Port Richmond, I know, down in Florida, no one wants to go to. And I'll go there and I'll go shag balls for them, and I'll probably have a few bucks, hopefully, with a good pension. And, buy something for the team and just hang out, man. I love football. I got to be around it.
The old principal, Tim Gadden, he was the principal when I was around. Many great memories of him. He said that Port Richmond High School was the best kept secret in Staten Island. I still
is, bud.
I still to this day agree with that. I could see it.
You're one of Port Richmond's finest, brother.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I haven't come back as much as I should, I feel like.
That's all right.
But, I've just been so busy with my thing. Speaking of which, zoning is the reason why I had to go to Port. Originally, I was supposed to go to Wagner, but because of the zoning issues, they were like, nope, you're going to Port. I was like, okay,
so did your mom stomp her feet and say, hey, I'm going to
fight?
My
mom didn't really care. My dad did have a problem with it at first because he didn't realize that I got into the collegiate program.
Okay.
Right? Because I was going to go to the honors program in Wagner, but then I was like, Dad, I didn't make it to Susan Wagner. What? I was like, yeah, I'm in the Port Richmond collegiate program. He didn't catch the collegiate part.
Okay.
Because my dad, he instills academics on me.
Cool.
That's very important to him. But you mentioned that you got the gig at Lincoln, right?
Yes.
How did you get into Port?
At football camp with Port Richmond when I was at Lincoln. It reminded me of Lafayette in the late 80s, early 90s when I was there. I was familiar with I knew Coach Peritzman because Coach Peritzman was the Madison coach when I was a player. And we were talking one night, and I'm like, yo, this is something like I would look into. I had just moved to Staten Island. I'm like, maybe one day this could be something for me.
What specifically reminded you of it?
The demographic makeup of the team, looked kind of like my high school football team. Had a good mix to it. The kids were tough. They looked like they Came from a tough neighborhood, which I like. I come from a tough neighborhood myself. You know, I have no problem wearing that on my sleeve. And after the 2001 season, I heard that Roddy Schatt was leaving. Not Beach Channel, Springfield Gardens. So someone tipped me off, and I called the school. I'm like, hey, I heard Coach Schatt's not coming back, and I want to be your next football coach. So, of course, they got offended because I was being assertive, and sometimes people don't like assertive people. I'm like, yo, I want to be.
Gotta go
who
and get
told
it.
you? Who told you about this? You know, we're keeping this in-house. I'm like, all right, well, just letting you know I'm 27 years old, and I still think I could tackle the world. So the following day, I went to speak at my Little League. Someone asked me to come and say a couple of words, and my buddy Tommy Salvato was there, who just resurfaced at Madison this year. And he's like, what are you doing trying to go to Springfield Gardens? That job's not for you. I said, Tommy, listen to me. With all due respect, don't tell me what I can do, what I can't do. At this age right now, I could tackle anything. He's like, okay, Lou, I appreciate the fact that, you know, you think you could do anything. He goes, but, you know, why don't you give Coach Perisman a call? You know, the guy he's getting older, and Coach Perisman and Tommy are really, really close. They played, you know, he played for him at Madison. They were tremendous back in the early '80s. And Coach Perisman's like, yo, why don't you come in? I was his assistant for 4 years, and you know, Mr. Gannon and I got hired at the same time. He got hired at the end of January. He hired me, maybe like right around my birthday, April 5th, like right around that.
That's a nice birthday gift.
Oh, yeah. I became head coach, married, bought a house, and a kid all within like a 30-month span. It was pretty quick.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's a good run there.
Oh, listen, the 31-6 I thought was a great run. And you know what? After the city championship, I didn't know that this was going to happen with zoning, and you know, we were going to fight to keep the respectability of the school. But I knew that, like, I know how the football gods work. I'm like, listen. You know, you go 31-6 your first 3 years. I was the youngest in history to win a city championship. I said, you're going to eat the crow a little bit, which I was okay with. You know, 9 and 10, we were down. 11, we started building back. 12, we were lost with 30 seconds left in the second round of the playoffs. We were right there. But the lack of students in the building is... I still firmly believe that we can teach kids how to play football even if it's in high school. I don't think you need, just the best players in the leagues. That's not where your linemen come from. Your linemen come from the cafeteria.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Port? Because honestly, I grew up in just South Shore, and even South Shore. This is like my third or fourth trip here. Like I said, I was always told that this was not the place you want to go to if you want to succeed in the world. And I know it's a very ignorant thing to say, but this is what I was told. This is what I was told, man.
Okay, I think public perception is everything. I do my best to try to keep public perception good. We had a nice article on Friday, right? That was a nice article. I got phone calls from people all throughout the city. Yo, Lou, that was wonderful. It's a great article. And then bad press afterwards. I don't know what it is. Is it the Advance who I thought would have a better relationship with Mr. Gannon since he did great things for them when he was the basketball coach at Curtis. But then he got here, and I felt like that they didn't give him that respect here because you're murdering us for nonsense. Someone farts in the cafeteria, it's on the front page of the Advance, and then there's riots at other schools, and it's off SI Live in 15 minutes. So that I don't know. I'm not from Staten Island. I don't like the perception of the school. Yesterday, I ran into one of my friends that I know since I'm 7 years old. His son goes to 75. Where you went, my son goes to 75. I said, yo, won't you come next year for the open house? And then the woman behind them is making faces. I want to say, lady, I don't. What do you want from me? You want me to fight and curse at everybody? I don't want to do that. I know it's a great place. I stand by the place. Chris, you seem like you're doing pretty good, man. You have a good experience here. Come on. You had every end. You started with football. You had so many good things going on. You made great connections here. This is a school of real life. Putting your kid in the school because it's all what they know. And I'm not here to talk bad about other schools, but those schools don't prepare you for life the way Port Richmond does. See, Lafayette prepared me for life. You know why it prepared me? Because I know which path to walk. I want to hang out outside and be a loser. I'm going to go inside so I could be a football player. And that's how, that's the motto I have. I'm never going to change. If when it's all said and done, that was not the right thing to do, I'm going to sit there and tell you that, I thought that was the right thing to do. Keep it real. This is the keep it real high school. I remember when I first got here, it was the school with a heart. I don't know how come that left the building. I don't know what happened. People have big opinions these days. Big opinions.
And I'm just noticing that over the course of like 2 or 3 decades, honestly, everything is flip-flopped. Because the place to be back in the 1980s and 1990s was Curtis. And now the place to not be is Curtis, Port Richmond, and it's pretty much the same area around here in the northern section.
They have a great program. I see at Curtis, everyone's all in. And that's my biggest thing here. Like you have to be all in. All in means that every person at the school is on board. And I'm not a renegade coach. I'm not trying to break rules, but you have to take care of your athletes. And I feel like we've gotten away from that here. We've gotten away from taking care of the athletes. Like don't say, don't give him special treatment just because he's an athlete. But you know what? He's here on Saturday and Sunday when the other kids aren't. So respect people for what they are. Some kids can handle high academics and sports, like yourself. Some of my guys are not real academic guys, but sports keeps them coming to school. So I think they should be celebrated. I really do. Craig, they're not going to be rewarded. They're not going to go to a school, the school of their choice if their grades aren't where they need to be. But they should be celebrated in the building. Yes, wearing your jersey on Friday is very, very, very important for us because we want to let everybody know who we are. I also explained to the boys that there's a lot of kids in the school that are going to hate your guts now because they don't have one.
Yeah.
Listen, society has changed
it's a brotherhood,
a lot.
Man. You could have joined the team if you wanted to. And you said you're going 23 strong. It's not like they couldn't have.
Yeah. And society has changed a lot. I remember, I hung out on the street corner when I was a kid. I also know the difference between right and wrong. I also know that if bad things were going on, they say, Louie, come back in an hour. Or, Lou, what are you doing? Make sure you're not doing that. And now, I feel like little kids are, being asked to jump right into it. Yes. It's horrible. And I explain that to the kids because sometimes the kids are like, oh, you don't know. I'm like, please don't tell me what I don't know. I come from a family. I'm born in Manhattan. I'm raised in Brooklyn. I live in Staten Island. That's about as Italian-American as it gets. Okay? So I know the difference between right and wrong. You have to choose. Everyone chooses their path. If you want to do the wrong thing, you must accept the life that you make for yourself. If you want to do the right thing, I'm happy with my life. And it's not about. I'm one of the richest people in the world, and it's not monetarily. You know what I'm talking about. You see how I'm having a fun time with this interview right now.
Yeah.
I look forward to you coming today.
Oh my gosh, this has been great.
Extremely happy to see us. I mean, he welcomed me with open arms. I even told him, I was like, I'm an MSIT guy. Actually, I said I'm a tech guy. And he was like, right. He's like, oh, he didn't say McKee. So it's fun. And it's really nice. It's refreshing to see this. And once again, I had the exact opposite of a football coach. So this guy yelled at me, and then he would pull me in and then yell at me some more. So it's really refreshing, and it was great to meet you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
We got about 10 minutes left, so keep it a little bit lighter. Let's talk NFL,
cool.
Right? Because Dinger for Three, we talk sports a lot.
Cool.
Cowboys.
Okay.
Why? Why are you a Cowboys fan?
I am a Cowboy fan because of, remember Coach Torres?
Yes.
Coach Torres is, our mothers are sisters.
Okay.
And his father, Uncle Philip, was a big Dallas Cowboy fan. So my local team is the Jets.
Okay.
But I was always intrigued with the Cowboys, and it was a pretty good era when I started following the Cowboys. It was Danny White, Randy White, Ed Jones, but I stuck with them when they were 1-15. So I was with them when they would. That was like the tail end when I first remembered football. The year before they had just lost the Super Bowl to the Steelers. Mm-hmm. The first Super Bowl I ever remember was Steelers-Rams because I played for the Rams in 1979, my first year playing football. I'm a psycho encyclopedia when it comes to football. And I've always latched on to the Cowboys. He wore a jersey. It was number 32. Mm-hmm. And no one ever knew who it was. Like, you had to be a Cowboy fan to know who number 32 was because Dorsett was 33, and everyone had Dorsett jerseys. But Uncle Philip used to wear a 32 jersey. You're never going to know, dude.
Yeah.
It's Dennis Thurman. He was the corner. Dennis Thurman actually still coaches in the league now. He's kind of part of that, Ryan, Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, he was with Rex Ryan with the Jets. He was with Rex Ryan with the with the Bills.
So he's unemployed now.
You know what? He might be unemployed now, but he's in the circle. He's known as one of the best defensive back coaches. He was the corner, number 32, and I've just been a Cowboy fan ever since, man.
I was just gonna say so was Todd Bowles, but we all see what that's But yeah, man, one thing I'm able to at least connect with you on, and I'm gonna shoot this out the way everybody shot it out at me throughout the years. Well, you don't like a New York team? What are you, a disgrace?
Yeah,
you're born in New York. You need to like a New York team, right? You're a disgrace.
Oh no, I root for the Jets.
But you root for a rival of the Giants, like a huge rival of the Giants.
You know what? I wouldn't. I don't root against the Giants. I'm a Cowboy fan and I root for the Jets, but I'm not against the Giants. Like I really wanted to see Saquon Barkley in that 26 jersey. I don't care if we have to play them twice. Yeah, I like good football. I'm a football purist. I don't really care. If the Cowboy, I just started rooting hard again for the Cowboys the last couple of years. I feel like since Jerry Jones' son has been doing the GM work, they've created better karma for
when they
themselves.
Started picking people like Travis Frederickson Zach Martin instead of Johnny Manziel.
Right.
That's
so now I think they've created better karma for themselves. I'm very happy. I'm a big Dak Prescott guy. I like him a lot.
Really? Do you really?
I do. I like his path.
Personally speaking,
I like his path.
I know it's an Eagles fan talking, so it's like take it with a grain of salt. I get it, but it's just I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I think
they should surround them with some better players.
I think he strives off of Ezekiel Elliott, and it's kind of like in my perspective, he's a better Trent Dilfer with legs.
Okay.
I think that they can do better. It's not that they're a bad team.
Trent Dilfer is not a bad way to go.
He's a manager.
It's not a bad way to go if you have the Zeke and you could run play action.
But who is he throwing it to?
Well, that's a big one.
As soon as they lost,
that's a question that I would like answered myself as a Cowboy fan. Like you let him go, you let Des Bryant go. I'm really surprised. We know that he doesn't demand the ball the way he used to. We know that he's not going to have more than 60 catches in a season probably ever again in his career. But the man's a damn good run blocker. And if you know football, watch the games. The dude's he could run block.
Yeah.
He's tremendous.
But now you have two true Y wide receivers. You don't have an X. And Cole Beasley is not Terrence Williams, and I don't even know where Terrence Williams is going to go because he's under investigation right now.
I don't know what the
Witten screwed you guys over.
The Tavon Austin. I don't know what that signing is about. You just brought in another slot. I don't know. Like they didn't bring in a receiver.
It's more like running type.
They need a split end. They need a guy that can run block. They need a split end that catch play action. You just lost your tight end. Yeah, I don't know.
We haven't even touched defense.
I think like we'll see with Dak Prescott. We'll see now if he can make others around him better because we could have this talk now, but you know how football works.
If they gel, you're right. If he
comes out, he might turn someone into the next. I don't want to say Odell Beckham Jr. because I can't stand them, but I can't stand them. I just think he takes away from the team.
Let's talk about that.
Takes away from the team, man.
So, I've just been a coach for a year, and the one thing I can't stand, it's basketball. The one thing I can't stand is one of my kids. They'll go up for a layup. It'll be a hard layup. It'll be a foul and one, and they'll stare somebody down the way James Harden stares them down, Kevin Durant, all that stuff. Do you see your kids doing that on the football field the way Odell Beckham?
Well, half the athletes here have blonde on the top of their hair. So, I mean, if that's a fashion statement, then I'm okay with it. I think the guy's a great player. I think that he doesn't know what it is to be a teammate, and that's my biggest issue with the guy. So I appreciate what he's doing now. He's trying to get healthy. He's going to voluntary workouts, but, this is still football, and people forget about the physicality of the game. Don't forget now that you guys are, in a booth and you're doing interviews and you're not in the trenches at practice. Like, this is football, and a guy like that who's on a lot of commercials and makes a lot of noise, those defensive backs are trying to hurt him. I tell people all the time, people just know the running back, they know the quarterback, and then I say, oh, why don't they run the ball more? You know why they don't run quarterbacks in the NFL? You ever see Cam Chancellor hit somebody? You're going to give the ball to your $20 million quarterback and let Cam Chancellor knock his head off of his shoulders?
Ever see Greg Williams' defense? They'll pay you money.
It's been going like that forever. And athletic quarterbacks, they've been trying to do it for years. And I'm all about the athlete. I'm happy with Deshaun Watson was doing before he got hurt last year. He got hurt.
RPOs, man. RPOs for days. Look, as much as...
But I don't know the longevity about that. I remember when Warren Moon tried running a speed option on a play on the goal line, And I'm talking about like in the late 80s, early 90s, and he got decapitated. You know what they did? They stopped running him because defensive plays in the NFL are murderers. And you can't do that with your $20 million quarterback. You can't.
And nobody in the world is like Randall Cunningham anymore, where they're just Gumby and they just bounce around.
Well, that's why Cam Newton gets away with it, because his 260-pound body, 250-pound body allows him to do that. The other guys aren't physical enough. These other guys that have legs. Right, okay. We watch RG3. Everybody was buying RG3 jerseys. Where's he now?
Destroyed. One playoff game.
I mean, you're a Cowboys fan. That's not the New York area. My local team that I support is the Giants, but my first team is the Indianapolis Colts, and they've been struggling lately because their quarterback keeps on getting hit because their O-line is
horrible.
So
I know a big Luck guy. You like Luck? Luck's great.
Luck.
Me too, man.
I love Luck.
Got root for them Stanford guys, man. We're talking about academics. You go to Stanford. How come Stanford goes out there and they have, high academics, but yet you ever watch Stanford play? They're one of the toughest teams out there, man.
Richard Sherman too, was he?
Richard Sherman's a Stanford guy.
Like he's
physical, but they're physical.
Yeah, very, very much so. But I want this question clarified. This is my last question of the evening. As a football coach, my opinion is like when a program is rebuilding, especially like high school, college, or even NFL, at all levels, offensive line and defensive line, I think has to be priority one. You have to have the biggest, baddest dudes there. Is that right?
100%.
Okay. Just wanted to validate.
Right now, this time of year, everyone's into their 7-on-7 tournaments and this stuff, and that's great. But when the season comes, you're only going to be able to play a certain amount of athletes because the game changes once the physical part starts. And if you have a really good receiver, but you have a better defensive line, you're never going to get him the ball.
Right.
Last year in the semifinals, I went to the Curtis Lincoln game. I think Peter's a great coach. I think that Coach O'Connor's a great coach. The final was 42-35. Every extra point was made, 11 consecutive extra points, which for New York City public school, I thought was impressive. And because Lincoln is a very physical team all over, their DBs, their linebackers, their defensive line, Coach Gambardella put Ahmad Anderson in the backfield and ran a stretch with him because he was having a hard time throwing it to him. So you have an athlete, you make sure you find the place to get him the ball, whether you have to hand it to him, throw it to him, whatever you have to do, because a good defensive line will nullify anything. Your RPOs, my 6'8" receiver that I can throw fades to, a good defensive lineman who puts that guard in the quarterback's face. Changes everything, dude.
Same goes for an offensive line.
I played offensive line my whole life, dude.
Same goes for the offensive line, making sure the right blocks are made for a running back to get in and to get out. So
that's why they make great coaches. Andy Reid. Yeah. Andy Reid, offensive lineman from BYU, one of my favorites. Those guys make great coaches, man.
Yeah.
He's great.
As a lineman, I just think the pump pass kick when he was 13, and he looked.
Yeah, you guys never saw that, right? That was like a thing. Pump pass kick?
No. Yeah, we don't.
You guys
they still do it, which is funny.
Like when I was a kid, it was a thing. Like halftime, people wanted to see the pump pass kick.
I'm not sure if you know pump pass kick. It's literally you punt the ball, you pass the ball, and you kick a field goal, and whichever kid is the best at it gets an award. Yeah. Andy Reid did it one year when he was like 13 or 14, and he looked like he was 25 compared to these kids. It's hysterical. You have to look it up. It's really, really funny.
It used to be a really cool thing, pump pass kick.
No, it really is. I wish that we did those, because the only thing we had was at the end of the day, we'd Lions Den, call them out, and just see me in the den, and I would always call out the big, bad defensive lineman who would put me on my ass every single time. But you know something? It showed that I had heart. That's
right.
the only reason why I did it.
I was going to say, as long as you called them out, it's okay.
I got pummeled, but everybody knew what I was going to do. At the end of the day, they're like, yes, it was Scotty actually that used to say it. He'd be like, "All right, guys, we're gonna do the den today. I know Nick's gonna call out Mev, and we'll see who else."
I don't want to sound too cliche, but I will. There's nothing wrong with getting knocked down. It just matters how fast you get up, dude. If you're a fighter, you've been punched in the face before. If you never got punched in the face before, then you're not a fighter. If you never got knocked on your rear end before, then you're not a football player. I've gotten knocked down many of times. It's okay. I get back up. It's part of life, like we talked about before. This is why you allow your children to play football. It teaches you about life.
Totally agree. Last segment we always do in the show is we do closing comments, actually. It's your chance to say whatever it is that you want to say. Nick, do you want to go first?
I do.
All right, you go first.
Okay, so the two things that I've really judged you on today, and they're both positive, by the way.
Okay.
The first one was when two of your kids walked in, and you told him if he's got a voice, use his voice. Absolutely love that. I've never heard a coach say that, especially a high school football coach. On top of that, when I first walked in, when you were still behind that door and we didn't even talk to you, I told Chris the smell. I love the smell of the locker room. I haven't smelled it since 2010. And for those of you wondering, it's a very musky, it's a dirty, disgusting smell. It's sweat, and you can just tell that it's blood, sweat, and tears. That's really what it is.
Thank you.
And I miss it, and I love it so much, and I'm so glad that you have that smell.
Thank you. I'm taking that as a compliment. I just want to say this has been a great experience. I'm glad I ran into you last week, Chris. I would love to do things with you guys. I'm always trying to keep it politically correct. I'm not trying to hate on anyone else's program. I would just like a little bit more of a level playing field. I just don't think it's right for the kids to go out, in the last couple of years. I mean, it's the same teams in the championship every year. And it's not about the championship. It's just kids want to be respected, and I want kids to feel, I still want the kids at Port Richmond, and I want the kids at like a team like Lehman that's on its way back. Like, I want the kids at those schools to have pride for going there. Like, it's not like, hey, I didn't go to these top 3 schools, so like that doesn't mean anything. I'm a firm believer. I'm a born and bred New York City football player. I still believe that we have the best football players in the country. Maybe we don't have the best football programs, but we have some. This is New York City, man. We got some of the best athletes in the world. So I stand by it. I'm very, thankful to be here with you guys, and I thank God every day that I have this job, and I'm going to keep doing my best to, get us back to where we need to be.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. And yes, Nick, the smell brings back memories. Smell brings back memories. And I just want to point out that this podcast episode, while we did talk a lot about football, I think the point is that football isn't just football. This podcast wasn't about football. This podcast was more about like different life lessons and how sports can actually teach you a whole lot. So yes, I'm very thankful we ran into each other at Danino's. Even though I never got to actually play for your team, I still consider you a very influential person in my life. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And yeah, we should totally do this again sometime. This is
doubt.
awesome. We'll talk more about that in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For Nick Fugallo, for Coach Lou Vesce, I'm Chris Scott. This is Dinger for 3, and we'll talk to you next time, guys.